Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. So, tonight or today, whenever, wherever you are, I would like to talk about a book. Oh my gosh, so I think this is technically the first book I have read of this year. Although on this channel it's the second that I've posted about. But it is technically the first that I read in January. So, very exciting. I'm quite happy with this book. I feel like it was something that it would have been really good if I had read this in high school in particular. But it is what it is. I'm reading it now in graduate school. That works. Yeah. So, let me pull this up. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm actually remembering properly how to say the author's name, because I looked it up, and I listened to Ann Liang say it. So yeah, okay. The title of the book is I Am Not Jessica Chen by Ann Liang. So, this book, I don't even remember how exactly it got on my list. Either someone recommended it to me, or I happened to see it maybe on somebody's, list of books they enjoyed, that kind of thing. And, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it as well. So let me just dive in. Let's talk about what it is about this book. To start with the premise. So we have our main character. No, it's not Jessica Chen. It is Jenna Chen. So, Jenna is our main character. Jenna is a high school student. She is a senior specifically. So she's in her final year. She's hardworking. Oh wait. Actually, I don't remember if she's in her senior year or junior. I'm sorry. But she's in high school. And she's, submitting applications to college. It's that time period for her. And she's extremely hardworking, and she puts a lot of effort into her studies, and she's not, it doesn't come effortlessly to her, like it seems like for some other students in her school. She has to really study hard in order to retain anything, and even though she does so much to try to work so hard to make her parents proud, she just doesn't ever compare to her cousin, who she views as flawless. Her cousin is Jessica Chen. So there's Jenna and Jessica. Jenna's our main character. Jessica is the flawless cousin that, just like everybody loves her. Jessica, the cousin, is so popular. She's gorgeous. She is, well, I should say conventionally attractive, so a lot of people think she's gorgeous. She is good at a lot of different things, including sports and academics. So she's got extracurriculars, and she's just she's the standard of what the school considers the best. So she's the best student. And anything less than 100 on anything is automatically a failure to her. And it's just, yeah. So Jenna is just feels very, very left out when it comes to the attention in the family, because everyone's so proud of Jessica, and I mean, she accomplishes a lot, so she does earn her praise. And not only that, she's actually genuinely nice. She is not mean. She actually is nice to people. And so that bugs Jenna even more, because Jenna is feeling jealous of the attention and the recognition that Jessica is receiving. But it just feels all the worse to secretly harbor that jealousy, because it doesn't feel nearly as presented as like if Jessica were mean about it. And so that's kind of the start, and the main focus of the book really is that comparison between Jenna and Jessica. Yeah, so it really especially just hits hard when the day that they get their letters back from Harvard. They both applied to Harvard. Jessica got in as everybody expected. Jenna, however, did not get into Harvard, and it created a really awkward family dinner situation where Jessica was praised for getting into Harvard, and then all of a sudden everybody went, hey wait, Jenna, you applied to Harvard too, right? So that must mean you got in too today, right? And then Jenna has to admit, no, I did not get in. And there's so much, there's so many moments, especially that one in this book, where I just feel myself internally, what's the word? It's not deflate. I feel it's more anxious than that. I'm just kind of like, the book is like squishing my insides a little bit. That's maybe a little more visceral than I mean. But I mean, I feel the secondhand embarrassment, the humiliation, the awkwardness. This book is really good at pulling that out of the situations that occur. And especially this one. And this is also an interesting perspective that I'm coming from in this, in that my graduate school is Harvard Extension School. So I got into Harvard, and Jenna, the main character of this book I'm reading the perspective of, did not. However, it's a very different situation applying to undergraduate school versus graduate school. Generally, applying to graduate school, I'm not going to say this is the same for everybody, but from what I hear, applying to graduate school somewhere, you're a lot more likely to be able to get in to, say, Ivy League schools if you apply during your graduate school years, not your undergrad. Everybody's trying to get in during their undergrad. So just as a little for your information, in case that is useful to you. But yeah, Harvard Extension School in particular, the one that I'm in, the program I'm in, is an online-based version of Harvard graduate school. So I'm taking classes primarily online with a requirement to have one course or a portion of one course in person. I haven't done that yet, so I haven't actually visited Harvard yet. Did I go once? No, I visited MIT briefly, but not Harvard. So, same city, but different schools. Anyhow, though, I say this, though, in that I resonated with this book quite a bit, and again, I think it relates more to my teenage years than to my current ones, because of the high academic standards that are in this book, and the expectations put on students, especially high school students. And like, there are definitely high expectations when you get into college and grad school. However, I feel like those feel different. Almost like, at least for me in my experience, I feel like the high school expectations were forced upon me by the school. When in college and grad school, I set the expectations for myself. I don't know if that makes any sense without me explaining any sort of context on that. That's kind of my general feeling on it. But again, also to add to the Harvard stuff, I didn't really care about getting into an Ivy League school for my undergraduate years. So that experience is a little different here. However, upon reading Jessica's experience, I am even more inclined to not talk about being a Harvard student, even if it's grad school and even if it's somebody else asking me. I do not bring it up, though, unless somebody asks me what school I go to, with the exception of, say, this video where we are talking about Harvard, because it's kind of a big, it's a big part of the story, as it sets off the main events. So, just Jenna's experience, though, with having to admit in front of her family, her expectant family, that she did not get in was just so while Jessica was, beaming about getting in and stuff. It just, I really don't want to encourage that comparison in anybody else, because I don't know where other people are coming from with their thoughts on Ivy League schools and Harvard in particular. And so again, that's why I very much try not to bring it up, just unless somebody asks me directly, hey, what school do you go to? Yeah. So anyway, all that aside, that night, when Jenna and Jessica reveal Jessica got into Harvard, Jenna did not, that really is just the catalyst that sets off everything that Jenna's been going through until now. The comparison in her head just gets to the absolute worst. And even though Jenna is wonderful in art in a way that Jessica just isn't, Jenna doesn't see that as valuable because other people around her don't see that as valuable. And it's just so sad, especially, I am an artist, and I'm sitting here going, your art is more important than Harvard. I mean, I get that you want the name on your resume. I completely get that. So that you can get a job and such. Although nowadays, going to college doesn't really guarantee you a job anymore, unfortunately. But anyway, assuming in this book they're still going on the rules of 10-20 years ago, where if you get a job, or you can get a job from going to a prestigious college, right? Assuming they're going on those rules, even that, I still am sitting here going, your self-worth is so much more important at this moment, because you going to Harvard, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, if you're going after a really difficult, curriculum, just because other people want you to, that's gonna lead to a horrible experience. And just, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make this about me. This book really made me reflect quite a bit, though, on my school experiences, and I hope that if you read this book, that it helps you kind of reflect on that as well. I think for anybody or especially anybody who went to a school where they had really high expectations on the students in terms of getting good grades and getting into a prestigious college, or at least college at all, anything that has to do with, or anybody who has ever, how do I describe, anybody who's ever compared themselves to somebody else who they perceive as perfect or the ideal, or the popular person or anything like that, this book is great, really great, for really just helping the reader reflect, I think, on their own experiences with this kind of stuff. It's especially important for high schoolers, I think. So if you know anybody who happens to be in high school who can maybe use, a little bit of help on feeling better about themselves in regards to some of this stuff that I'm talking about, I highly recommend this book for them as well. Alright. The night of the Harvard acceptance / decline, yeah, that night, really humiliating, and, but anyway, moving on, a shooting star that night passes through the sky. Jenna sees it, and she makes a wish. She wishes to be Jessica Chen. Next day, she wakes up in Jessica Chen's body, in Jessica Chen's room, in Jessica Chen's life. It's still Jenna's mind, just Jessica's body. And so Jenna's immediately confused. You don't actually expect a wish like that to come true usually, you know? So Jenna's confused in Jessica's body and going, oh my gosh, what happened? And other people are just assuming that Jenna is Jessica because the body still looks like Jessica. The voice sounds like Jessica, it looks like her. So everybody's kind of treating her the same way they would normally treat her. And at first, Jenna starts to actually maybe embrace it. She's going, oh wow, other people are like looking at me and admiring me, thinking I'm gorgeous, thinking I'm smart, actually giving me credit for like things, my hard work. And so Jenna really enjoys this for a little while. And she goes to school and it's just doing, Jessica's normal life. But she starts to investigate a little more of going, okay, if I'm in Jessica's body, where is Jessica's mind? And so she thinks maybe they did like a body swap, which, fair enough. So let's go investigate where Jenna's at, because Jenna didn't show up to school, or rather Jenna's body, I should say. Turns out, though, people are starting to forget who Jenna Chen was. Even her own parents kind of feel a little like their memories are a little murky. And so that starts to alarm Jenna, for good reason, because people are starting to forget who she is. It's like she just disappeared. And it's also like Jessica's mind disappeared. So that seems a little ungood, and over time, it appears that the process accelerates, so more and more people are forgetting who Jenna is. And that's not good, because Jenna is sensing, oh no, I might have to stay in this body forever. So I kind of want to get back to my body, and I also don't want to, keep Jessica out of her own body forever. So, she tries, researching a bit, investigating, what can she do to, get her back to her body. But as more shenanigans happen of her just living Jessica's life and seeing how good it is, Jenna starts to not want to go back to her own body. It's this weird sort of mix of feelings where she definitely misses her parents, but she enjoys living the wealthy family life of Jessica's parents, and she misses doing art, but she also loves that she is now automatically good at sports due to Jessica's muscle memory. Just things like that keep kind of making her feel conflicted about who she really wants to be. And as much as she wanted to be Jessica Chen, she really wanted to be recognized for her own accomplishments, and she didn't really want to be the standard, because especially as Jenna experiences more of Jessica's life as the perfect, the golden child, the top student, and Jenna tries really, really hard to maintain that for Jessica. Even just getting a lower grade, still a good grade, but a lower grade than a 100, sets off Jessica's parents, and it makes them really angry and disappointed in her. And just same with the teachers and stuff like that, just kind of starts unraveling, because because the more Jenna experiences this, the more she realizes, oh wow, Jessica really did have it hard, especially as Jenna looks through Jessica's notes and seeing how, like, Jessica berates herself for missing one question on a test, and just the high standards that Jessica puts on herself because of other people. And so there's just a lot of commentary in particular too about how schools treat children or teenagers. And I particularly like that. That's one of the many things that I like to take a jab at in my writing, even in books that don't have anything to do with school much. Like in When Truth Cowers, which I published. I won't talk about it for long, I'm sorry. I just want to, like, mention in regards to school, even in that book, I included, like, a chapter where they were in school, and I just, like, made so many changes to it to make it more like how I would think school should be, which is about learning, and learning how to learn, not just grades, which is annoying to me because they treated us like numbers back in school. And I went to school in Texas, by the way. They really do not care about us. And it was just so frustrating, and I didn't actually allow myself to vent my frustration for those 4 years of high school, because that's how I coped with it. I couldn't think about how horribly they were treating us, how it felt like a prison. It just, I mean, literally, they wouldn't let us off campus. They were very strict about our bathroom usage. Like, they told us to use the bathroom in breaks between classes, even though the breaks between classes are for getting from one side of the building to the other. 7 minutes is barely enough time to get from one side of the building to the other. And the teachers even thought it was that they could prove that it was possible by having the principal walk from one side to the other during a passing period. This principal, who is taller than everybody else, and who is the principal, as in, we moved out of the way for him. That's not the average school experience of, like, walking from one side of the building to the other. Anyway, enough venting on that for now. I say for now because I get the feeling I might vent a little more about school. High school, to be clear. And also public school in particular. But, like, that just irks me. And this book brings up a good amount of, like, a decent amount of points about that. About how students just try so hard to please the school and the teachers, but they don't, like, the administration doesn't really care. They just care about making their school look good. And maybe that's not the experience of all schools. However, it does sound like the experience for a lot of schools. So it's really, really unfortunate that that's the environment that kids are growing up in. I still can't believe they're doing that. And it's been 4, 5, 6 or so years since I was in high school. And from what I've seen online of, like, the scheduling and stuff, they've made it worse at my high school. They have even less time for lunch than they used to, which is crazy to me. So I don't know why I do know why they're trying to make students more efficient, but it's really just hurting them, in my opinion. You can have different opinions than me, by the way. I'm just, even as I vent on things, I don't mean to say that my opinions are the end-all be-all right opinion about something. I also might change my mind about, like, how schools handle certain problems, right? But for right now, at least, I'm still kind of working through all of my irritation at how my high school treated us. And when I say us, I mean the kids who were in almost all AP classes. We were treated like numbers, just to boost their school scores, you know? So that really irritates me, and this book reawoke that. That book awoke that. The book awakened that. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Hopefully you are too. So you don't mind me rambling as much. But yeah, And another thing this book touches on that I do not in particular experience. I am white. The main character of this book, well, both the main characters, if you're talking about Jenna and Jessica, are East Asian, so I do not have the experience of racism and microaggressions on top of all the problems that school, gave me. They have to deal with even worse, because it's kind of revealed that the school administration is a lot more lenient toward white students in comparison to not white students, or people of color, sorry. And it's not even outright said, actually. I don't even think, well, no, that's not true. It was at one point pretty plainly spoken during one scene, but a lot of the cases, Jenna doesn't even outright say, oh my gosh, that's racist, but you can tell, based on the microaggressions. It's just the way that she is treated in Jessica's body. Even though a lot of people admire Jessica, the white people, the white teachers, the white students who are privileged, the white wealthy students in particular, even though Jessica is a model student and gets really good grades, makes the school look good, they only care about her as long as she's making the school look good. If it comes to a dispute between her and a white student, they're gonna take the white student's side, even though the white student didn't do as good as she did in terms of grades and stuff. Which, oh my gosh, there were so many frustrating moments in the book where the microaggressions were so insane. Not insane as in sorry, I should clarify. The microaggressions were so frustrating. Insanely frustrating, how about that? That's a way to incorporate the word. So, yeah. And how about I shift into something a little more lighthearted as a segue of the main characters, Jenna and Jessica, are people of color. Also, Jenna's love interest as well, which I haven't talked about him yet, but there is a romantic subplot in case you're interested in that, and I quite like him. He's green flags. He has a lot of green flags, and he really helps Jenna remember who she is, and especially the good parts of her, or the special and unique parts of her. And that's probably all I'll say on him, because I think most of that you gotta kind of experience. The romance stuff. I don't know why I'm doing a little wave hand motion while doing that. Anyway, though. And in terms of other representation, there's casual LGBT representation among the cast. One of the friends casually mentions, she's a girl, she casually mentions dating another girl, and then somebody else mentions having two moms. It's kind of it's just kind of, like I said, casual, and there are other people of color in the cast as well as the main 2 to 3 characters. And was there anything? Oh, right, just wealth disparity, is that the word I mean to say? Some characters are wealthier than others. For example, Jenna, not nearly as wealthy as Jessica, or at least the two sides of the family. moments in their lives because of that wealth is also pointed out a lot, or Jenna points that out a lot, just in like the difference of like the food they eat, the activities they do, the gardens at each of their houses, the houses themselves. I mean, that, like, all that, you know. And on a really positive note, this book actually was quite healing for me, as much as I kept going on about, like, my irritation with school, or high school, public high school. This book actually was really healing, partially because of that, because of all the high school stuff, but especially because of just the character growth that Jenna undergoes. Because Jenna is really, really quite special in that I think she really is a good example of just showing how self-perception can really be different than how others perceive you. And her journey through, like, how did I put it in my notes? It feels so real. Like, her struggles with her self-perception feel just so real. And, like, even though her shame is, like, primarily coming from herself, well, it's a mix. She has shame that is, like, as a result of other people kind of setting expectations on her. But she also sets such high standards for herself, and it's hard not to compare, especially when you're a teenager, and you have all these, like, authority figures around you, your parents and your teachers, administration, who are, like, emphasizing comparison, essentially, even if they don't necessarily think they are. But putting so much emphasis on grades makes it easy to compare yourself to other people, because grades are a hard number. You, like, somebody else gets a higher grade than you, and if that's perceived as better, like higher grades are better, then that person is better than you in your mind as a teenager. If you feel like grades are important, you know? So it's really easy to get into that mindset of comparison when you have numbers that solidify that in your head for you. And so that's just, yeah, that's a reason why I read college, my undergrad college. That's why we don't really do grades, or at least we don't know our grades. I mean, they'll tell us if we, like, did poorly on something, but it's, we get feedback in word form, or if we took a test, and it's like a right or wrong answer kind of thing, like if it's a math test or a physics test, then you get the if this was correct or not kind of a thing, and yeah, you can technically calculate your grade from there, but it's, the idea is just to not put importance on grades. And yeah, we have transcripts and everything. We do have grades. We just don't see them most of the time. And so as a result, we didn't really talk about grades. I mean, we literally, like, it's more just about, like, hey, did you pass the test or fail it? Or, like, oh, I didn't understand most of the assignment, versus, like, oh yeah, I understood the assignment pretty well. It put it into more abstract terms, and so there wasn't nearly as much comparison between students. It was really about learning. Oh my gosh, school being about learning, what do you know? So anyway, that was a super neat experience, having that in college. And yeah, so that was Reed College, my undergrad. And I highly suggest that system. I like it. Although I understand why high schools are more focused on grades for the sake of getting into college. And then when you're in college, it's debatable on how important it is to have, like, specific grades being in a certain level. Like, if you're trying to get into a master's degree college program, graduate, words I'm trying to think of. If you're trying to go into more school, then yeah, okay, grades, a certain level of grades, understandable that you'd want to keep track of that pretty closely. But if you're just, like, aiming for itself, then you don't really have to keep track of your grades all that closely. So, where did I deviate from again? Oh, this is a really rambly video. Don't get me talking about school. In my final note, I said, like, this book is healing for me, reminding me that the way school treated me doesn't have to linger as a large part of who I am now. And I mean, how you grow up strongly affects you as an adult. So, yeah, it's hard for me to let go of, like, how high school was in terms of its toxic environment. But I think I am a lot better off than I was in terms of my journey of letting go of all that irritation that I have toward high school, that environment. Yeah, and I think this book definitely helped. So I think to avoid me traveling again into more school, I'll just kind of wrap up this video by saying this was a really good book, contemporary, going in depth on the teenage experience, having to do with, in particular, those who work really, really hard, but feel like that whatever they do isn't enough. I think that's the summary of, like, who the audience, a general audience for this book is. And it just is a reminder that, hey, even the person you think is doing everything perfectly and you'd love to trade lives with them because it seems like they've got the best life, even they have a lot of struggles that maybe you would rather not deal with in comparison to your struggles, you know? And I'm not saying like, oh, privileged people troubles, that's so hard in comparison to, like, poor people's troubles, you know? I'm not trying to say that, that being wealthy, well-liked, and all that, I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to compare, what is it? Compare negative experiences, maybe. I often say, like, I don't like to compare pain. And while this isn't pain necessarily, it's kind of similar, of, like, negative experiences or troubles that you deal with. Even though, like, yeah, a lot of people would rather have, like, troubles that, like, say, Jessica has versus Jenna. But Jenna realizes, no, I actually want the troubles I have, because even though I have these troubles, what comes with them are also the things that make my life really good, you know? And sometimes when you're chasing something else so hard, you don't see just how good the things right next to you or right in front of you are. So, the comparison game never feels good to play. Yeah. Alright, so again, that is I Am Not Jessica Chen by Ann Liang, and I highly recommend it. It's a great book. 5 stars. Start of the year. Great start. And it's good to remind me to maybe try letting go of my lingering resentment toward high school. Well, in particular, the way the administration treated us and the culture that they encouraged. But even on top of all that, there were good experiences I had in high school. I mean, I made friends that I'm really, really glad for. I'm really glad they're in my life, or that they were in my life, even if they aren't so much anymore now for some of them. And I had some really, really empowering experiences too. And even though it would be nice if I could go back to redo the experiences, like it would be much more satisfying to actually give people a piece of my mind in a few situations, I, at the same time, like where I am now. And so even comparing myself now versus then, I wouldn't want to risk, like if I had a time travel situation going on with my life where I could go back to my high school years and have all my memories from now, I wouldn't want to risk changing anything, because I really like where I'm at now. Even if I don't like how some things happened then, I'm still really happy for how that helped me become me as I am now. And so I'd be scared to change any of that, because I wouldn't want to, like, accidentally lose any of my friends or something, you know? Because actually, I made a friend, or I really, like, bonded with somebody because of a negative experience I had. And if I went back and changed that experience, I would have given somebody else a piece of my mind, and I wouldn't have cried in the bathroom, resulting in an acquaintance coming in and becoming my friend and, like, talking with me and doing my makeup, touching up on my face and stuff to, like, make me feel better, you know? Like, I wouldn't have been as close with her, you know, if I hadn't gone through that bad experience and seen, like, oh, there's somebody around me who is proving that I am not alone, and that she will stand by me even in, like, negative experiences like this. So that's just, like, sometimes even the bad results in you finding the good. So I hope I hope that shared experience is, I don't know, just kind of helpful for keeping that kind of stuff in mind, you know? Yeah. Okay. I forget how I end my videos. I've done this for a year. How did it just fly out my window? My window. How did it fly out the window? How did it fly out the window? Is that a phrase, or am I making that up? This is the sign that I'm tired and I should go to bed. Thank you. There we go. Thank you so much for listening. You are an awesome listener. Now, wherever you go next, whatever you do next, I hope that it is fun and